Welcome to my chaotic yet peaceful channel. Well, here we are 2 years later, and I have finally completed the 100 Pantone card painting challenge.
Hi, this is day 1. Hi, this is day 2. Hi, this is day 3. Hi, this is day 4. Hi, this is day 5. Hi, this is day 6. Day 7 is day 8. Day 10, day 13, 14, 16, 20, 21, 25, 28, 30, 34, 39, 42, 47, 50, 56, 59, 68, 72, 84, 90, 95, 97, 98, 99. Hi, this is day 100 of my 100 Pantone card painting challenge.
So what's this challenge? Well, it was started by a creator on Instagram named Big Blue Tang, and to participate, you would take one Pantone postcard and use the color on it as inspiration for what you wanted to paint on the card. As soon as I heard about it, I instantly knew that I had to paint all 100 of these cards. Once I get stuck in on a project or an idea that I have to do, I simply cannot let go of it until I've completed it. So here we are. In those first videos, you would have probably seen that the box lid was yellow. Well, now it has progressively gotten lighter and it's now almost non-existent because I left my box in the sun way too much. Just for reference, this is not the order that I painted them in, nor is it the order that they came in the box. I just stuck them on the wall based on the vibe I was feeling and in rainbow order. In this video, I wanted to show you each card one by one and discuss them with you. It's also sort of a reflection on how my painting has changed and improved over the past 2 years.
Let's begin with the first card I ever painted, which was this red onion. I was randomly selecting color cards at first, and when I selected a purple one, which is my favorite color, I knew it was a good sign for what was yet to come. This is one of the first times I ever used acrylic gouache, and I was surprised at how matte it dries. Throughout this challenge, the way I approached it was to use the postcard colors as inspiration. Mixing the exact color is nearly impossible and a bit unnecessary for what I was trying to achieve, which is a quick, fun, practice painting and to encourage more people to paint even though it's not perfect. My first 10 or so paintings feel a bit flat to me now as I look back on them. I would have definitely approached them differently if I were to repeat some of the subjects. I am quite proud of the tree frog though. I feel like I learned where to place the highlights a bit better and it came out looking glossy, which is an effect I enjoy in paintings. The acrylic gouache is matte and the card is glossy, so sometimes it gives the card a weird effect, so I had not quite figured that out yet at the beginning. This pink sunset I think marked a change in how I was using acrylic gouache. I'm still super proud of this painting and what I was able to do with a hot pink color card. Most of my paintings from this point onwards didn't feel as flat as the first ones did. I think this just shows that persistence is key here because some paintings may not look as good as others, but for every couple of bad paintings you do, one comes out looking great and you keep practicing until you can get all your paintings to look like that one, you know? Here I tried out something more abstract. When I first started painting, abstract was my favorite to paint, but my style has now evolved into more vivid, nature-based, and illustrative. The other part of this challenge was so that I could figure out my style better since I have always struggled with it and I still don't know if I have a style. These moonlight and campfire paintings are ones that were not so creative, but I felt the need to try and attempt them to figure out light and shadow better, and you'll see it in some of my other paintings coming up too. I was practicing how I can use less color and more value in my paintings because I feel like that's something that improves your art. This painting is a special one for me since I painted something so personal from a reference photo on my engagement day. It reminds me of the reason this challenge took me 2 years. It's mostly because I had a lot of things going on in my life, so finding the right time and mindset to paint is not so easy when you're working on a bunch of other things. There were months where I left this pile of cards on a table and I didn't touch them at all. Sometimes I put a lot of pressure on myself for not practicing more, but really I should have just focused on smaller growth and taking my time with painting. This busy world makes me feel like I must do everything in a rush, so I try very hard to not put that into my painting anymore. In this section, I was exploring some subjects I have never painted before, like a high heel shoe. In fact, for most of this challenge, I painted things I had never painted before. This slime slice I still enjoy looking at. I kind of like the simplicity of it, which is something I learned along the way with this challenge and working more with acrylic paints. Simpler, well-placed strokes will always work better for me than overworking details and overworking the paint. Let me tell you, this challenge has made me work with colors I don't gravitate towards, like this card, which was originally orange, so I basically hid it in my lanterns. By the end of it though, I feel like I now embrace the colors I don't like as much instead of trying to shove them out of my art. I tried to include the base color into the main element as much as possible, but sometimes it just ended up being in the background too. I am really proud of this eye painting in particular. I remember focusing a lot when I was painting this, and I was super careful with where I placed my light and darker values. You can also see with these two paintings, I was trying this new sheer light thing that I thought might work. I think they look a little streaky, but honestly, these were some of my most liked paintings at the time when I showed them to people. I painted this little pink robin for my mom. She likes birds a lot and showed me a photo of this one. I think you can tell overall in this challenge that I enjoy the natural objects more than man-made ones as subjects. I just feel like I paint them better. This painting, let's not talk too much about it. It's supposed to be Belle's dress, but it ended up looking like a seashell and it's just not right. Anyway, after the storm, there's always a rainbow, and this eye painting turned out to be one of my favorites. I'm super proud of the skin texture and my use of the Pantone color and values here. So honestly, I have no idea how I could have painted the ugliest dress and the best eye. I then fell right into some more of my nature/animal inspired paintings. It's what I was comfortable with, and I wanted more practice with natural textures like fur, which I was trying to figure out. I do think that my painting here started having more character, which is good. Like you could sense the emotions of the cute princess-like hamster, the feisty anglerfish, and my relaxed red panda. I then went through a Christmas phase here. Really happy with the Grinch hand. I think I finally figured out hair and how to layer my paint better here. Then I took a little break, and the first thing I came back to paint was trash, in my opinion. I tried to paint jacaranda flowers, and my approach was off completely. It was so hard for me to figure out how to not make all the flowers blend into each other, and I think I got scared because I have not really attempted a flower tree since then. I think I can now see what I did wrong though. I didn't work from the background to the foreground and just tried to paint it all at once, which I have now learned is not the right move with acrylics. This little bottle and glass at the time, I didn't like too much, but I've grown to love this painting. I enjoy the color choices I made, and I think I did a decent job at painting glass, which is a tough texture to paint. Minesweeper is one of those funky paintings I had a lot of fun with, and probably never painting anything like this again, but it was the only thing I could think of when I saw a gray Pantone card. Anyway, back to more animals since I cannot seem to stay away from them. My paintings here are already getting better though. I can see the use of different backgrounds in them, as well as trying to make them look more interesting, which I wasn't really doing as much in the beginning. I really like this pizza painting. It took me a while to try painting more food since I find it difficult. I don't want to mess up making something look yummy, you know. I also explored some of my own reference images like this one of my bed covers. I remember being quite happy painting this since my mom was visiting me from overseas at the time, but when I took the actual photo, I was not in a good mental space. Painting from my own reference photos really gives a personal touch to the paintings and makes me connect with them a lot more. Now comes this messed up painting. It has got to be the worst one out of the batch, just nothing was working for me on that day. I was just tired, I think. But it is my third most viewed painting. I think people probably connected to my struggle here. The background is horrible. I probably should have just focused more on trying to get the vase right, which I couldn't even do. I think that day I just learned that I should not be painting when I'm tired and just take the time to rest. This raindrop painting was a very simple one, but I love the technique and how it turned out. I feel like once again proving that a few well-placed brush strokes will do the trick, and you don't need anything too fancy to get the point across for something so beautiful and simple. I think the tangerine marks a point where my painting started coming more to life. I was much more focused on having a plan before painting, and I wasn't so scared of attempting things I had never painted before. I felt more confident in dealing with other textures like this cotton candy, for example, which I enjoy a lot. Taking all the things I learned along the way and applying them became easier as I continued to paint. My water caustics card is the most viewed of all of my paintings, and I'm not too sure why. It is a very simple technique that anyone could paint potentially, and I like that my art can do that for people. This is also a subject that I would love to explore more because though it looks abstract, it still has an element of realism to it. Speaking of realism, I don't know what I was on the day I painted this spider. Very happy with this painting. I mean, it took a lot of focus for me to make this spider look even a speck realistic. It's a miracle, honestly. I can't believe I painted it myself looking back on it. I think it probably has to do with the shadow underneath it. By now, and at this point in the challenge, I think it's clearer that I started to enjoy the process of using colors I wasn't familiar with in my paintings. A few of them just seem to convey joy to me, which I am pleased with. I've never been too good with perspective paintings. I've always found roads and buildings difficult, but I don't think this rainy day Pantone card looks too bad. And even more sparkly animal paintings. Overall in this challenge, it took me quite a while to figure out that, hey, maybe I don't need to put a white highlight on every single thing I do, but hey, what can I say, like, the shiny look for some reason is my go-to. This painting was probably the quickest one I painted in this challenge, and it's one of my most liked paintings too. I think it was good practice on using the same color, and I think I can expand on this style if I were to paint it again. In this landscape, there is also better depth as well, which I couldn't do as much in my first tries. I was also working a lot more on my light and dark areas of my paintings. I remember these leaves taking me quite long to do, and I still feel that my contrast isn't high enough between the foreground and the background. This painting is kind of a random one, but I'm really proud of this fried egg. It's a subject that I see a lot of artists on social media paint, and I wanted to try it myself. I really like how I did the off-white tones with blues and grays to make it look more realistic too. Starting from these lightning strikes, I think is where my painting has seen the most improvement. I am now more able to combine elements within one painting, like with the koi fish pond and whale tail. I think it's also pretty clear that I enjoy painting water to some extent as well, since I think my light placement has improved. This is one of my favorites as well. There's just some sticky tack on it. I was really happy with the shadow placements on the lighthouse and the hills. These were decisions that didn't come to my brain at the beginning of this challenge. Overall, now with my landscapes, I can rely less on trying to make everything colorful, but focusing on placement of strokes and thinking about my shadows and highlights. I had a little fun here with the baby hippo, but it was really challenging to paint her because of how shiny her wet skin was. I'm not sure if I ever will be able to paint anything like this again, but I think I made a decent attempt. I also went back to painting some of my own reference photos here from Japan. Once again, worth mentioning that in painting, using your own reference photos is probably the best thing you can do because you can feel more connected with your painting. I also finally stopped intensely highlighting everything with white, which I am proud of. I think it makes my paintings look calmer and more enjoyable in this section. Painting these grand daisies is another one I'm quite proud of since the flowers don't blend so much into each other. It's one where I can clearly see my skill has improved by comparing it to the first sunflowers I painted. I feel like this looks as if two different people painted them, which is quite amazing. I had a little more fun here drawing inspiration from memes like this Wicked movie related one. I feel like finding something random like this to paint sometimes makes it more interesting for yourself. I also strayed away and made some more attempts at weird objects like bubble tea and a mole rat, and although it was fun exploring them, I probably won't paint much of them again since I don't think they match my style. These macarons were the first time I tried to mix in yellow ochre into all the colors to give the painting a more cohesive look. When I first painted it, I didn't really like it, but now looking back on it, I realized this is a nice, neutral, and calm painting. It gives the viewer a comfy feeling that I do like because all the colors blend well together. Finally, my last two paintings, maybe a little anticlimactic since they are nothing too crazy. However, I think they are quite pretty, and I can see that I applied a lot of what I learned throughout this challenge in them. I had a plan coming in, I was confident in what I wanted to paint, and I didn't put too much stress on it either. I also picked nature-related subjects which I enjoy and tried to convey some peaceful feelings with them which make people feel happy. Here is the last versus the first landscape I ever painted for this challenge. Clearly, color choice and depth is much better in my last one, but let's not forget that awesome sunset landscape that I painted early on too. I think it just shows that some days I paint better than others, and that's okay. I honestly shouldn't be too biased here with what I like because there are elements of all these paintings that I enjoyed because all were part of my painting progress and learning.
Thank you so much for following my journey. Let me know which card is your favorite from what I painted, and I'll see you in the next project. You know.